Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. We are into the week of an entire week has gone by now with these horrible, devastating fires in Los Angeles. And my friend and fire expert, Robert Brame, is back with me. He's been on the show before. He reached out to me a couple of years ago and said, Peggy, I've got information that you need to know about. I study trees. I know how they burn. I understand fire behavior. It's been my life being in the wilderness. So, Robert, thank you. I really appreciate you coming back on. My viewers love to hear from you. So, why don't we just dive in? I know you've got a slideshow for us, and we're going to talk about general fire behavior. We're specifically going to talk about what's going on in Los Angeles as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. What a strange turn of events for a winter day in January. Never heard of giant fires coming up in January or any time in winter, especially where they burn thousands of acres of land and thousands of homes. Pretty terrible. So there's a lot to talk about today.
Robert, I grew up in Southern California. We had what was called Santana winds, they're Santa Ana winds, September, October. I don't remember any in January. And we used to call them forest fires. That's what they were called. Now they're residential fires.
Yeah, I hear wildfires, but I don't hear the word forest anymore.
That's
Maybe
right.
that's because the forest isn't burning.
You got it.
Well, I've spent half a century now of analyzing plants from sea level to 14,000 feet. It's been my hobby for my whole life. Been backpacking and been a naturalist basically for that same amount of time. And I geared towards wildflowers, ferns, shrubs, vines, and trees, mostly natives, but I've studied plants imported from around the world, and it's just been my fun, my hobby. And whatever it was, 7 years ago, I saw some photos up north in Santa Rosa, which didn't make any sense to me. 4,700 homes disappeared, turned to white ash. But what I saw was trees up and down every street and between houses. Didn't work well for me at all, and I was flabbergasted. So I went up there and it changed my whole world. And I want to start some pictures here and talk about some of the things I've done and then get into Southern California fires.
Gorgeous.
And anyway, I had a lot of viewers that didn't understand what a normal forest fire looks like. This is as pretty normal as I can find. I believe I took this one 3-4 years ago, northeast of Mount Lassen, the volcano. This is the way they should look, especially a firestorm. Leave hardly anything, blackened poles and limbless. I think some of these bushes have grown in for a year or two. But take a good look at this, folks. This is the way they're supposed to look. You can walk through here and not even run into a tree. They burn up. These are the conifers, the red, white firs, the ponderosa pines, the Jeffreys, and a slew of other trees. They shouldn't look like this. This is Santa Rosa in 2017. 4,700 homes disappeared, yet the trees remain, and most of them are green. To me, I would think that's impossible, but there's the picture and the proof. Any picture from the air are not mine. I'm borrowing them just from, off the computer. And that didn't work well for me when I found this photo. So I went up there and spent the whole day and nothing added up. I stayed up there all day and analyzed. A year later, the Paradise Fire right here. And these are a coniferous forest with ponderosa pine being number one. White fir second, and then there's some planted Sierra redwood in there, those nice little Christmas trees. Oddly enough, the forest forgot to burn, and you see what happened to the homes. This happened in Greenville, Maui, all over the world. I'm sure Peggy's done a lot of research around Greece and Portugal and just everywhere, Australia also. I'm going to only probably highlight this tree. This is our blue gum eucalyptus up here, Big Basin State Park near San Francisco. They burned the whole park up, but I couldn't find the burned trees. And here's the most flammable or combustible leaf I know of. The fire came underneath, as you can see, everything's black, but the leaves forgot to combust. And you can light these on fire with a cigarette lighter. So what I'm figuring out is the ground itself is on fire, and anything burning beyond that is an after effect because of close proximity. They're not burning naturally like an old-fashioned wood fire that we know of. And up in the mountains, this is some 10, 20-foot ponderosa pine. Same scenario. They can lay on the ground and forget or refuse to burn. Many trees that hold a lot of water, like this oak, are burning from the inside out with low oxygen and no hole to even get a fire in there. I'm finding out these are electromagnetic weapons, if you will, that go up through the ground, through the root system that's full of water, up the cambial fluids, and up through the entire tree and limbs, but refuse to burn the leaves. Giant blue gum eucalyptus with no leaves that burned. And I don't find cavities in eucalyptus. In 33 years, I've not found cavities. One of these metal T-posts was right behind it, and I don't have a picture of it from here, but to me, the metal post was superheated, and the close proximity to the tree is what actually burned it up. Had to show that eucalyptus, and this was cattle country. The grass here was probably 2 or 3 inches tall. There was not enough combustible materials on the ground to warrant this type of burn behavior.
Mm-hmm.
The whole circulatory system was cooked from the inside out. And my third trip up there, the tree was gone, even the stump. And this is in the middle of nowhere. Why would anybody care? But there it was. They took the whole thing away.
Removing the evidence.
Yeah, as they close it down and keep you out to keep you safe, they take everything off your property. I have stories about that. I always put this photo in to educate people on the highest water holding capacity tree, at least in the western US. This is a Fremont cottonwood, king of the willow family. Poplars are in there. Aspen are in there, same genus actually. But this guy can get 4 to 6 feet and even 15 feet through, filled with water. You cut them open, water will geyser out and drip all over me. And here this tree was in a spring with plenty of water. There was actually 2 of them. Water everywhere, it's still moist. Not one leaf burned, and the whole thing cooked from the inside out and split open like lightning hit it. So I had to show that. There are some other trees that hold a ton of water, the same thing's happening. I just put this in here a half hour ago. I don't know if I've talked about this. These are the 2 tallest trees on the planet, coast redwoods and king of the pine family, Douglas fir, 2nd tallest tree in the world. It's a log pile. They've been cutting them down because they were obviously dead. But what I took the picture for is the heartwood, the middle of the tree. That's usually a darker color, but some of these are lighter. That's dead, non-conductive tissue. Usually that happens in an old tree where it builds up a degree of heartwood. The biggest tree here is not even 3 feet across. When I cut these open, it's 99% sapwood, all wet, liquidy sapwood. And there's maybe a speck in the middle that's heartwood, like up here on your upper left, there's a small piece in there with a little bit of brown in it. It should even be less than that. It should not have this buildup. This to me shows like a 95-year-old human that is getting very old. These trees are toddlers. The redwood can be at least 17 feet in diameter. The Douglas fir can be 8 feet in diameter. And at those sizes, yes, there'd be heartwood. Not these little toddlers. There should be 0 heartwood showing up. It shows me that they cooked very quickly in a short time, I guess, because they're hardly even cracked. So that was really an oddity for me. And pretty much any arborist should know this. This is a simple thing to know. I cut down trees every day of the week. It's rare I cut down any redwood tree that has any heartwood. And I'm talking 4, 5, and 6 foot diameters.
Wow.
But here, you see heartwood everywhere. So that's something for folks to look out and take pictures of it and send it around. That's unnatural. Another pile, this is mostly oak, same thing. And some are starting to combust in the middle. See the black holes? Why are they black on the inside? The ones that hold the most water, incidentally, are the ones that usually cook from the inside out the fastest and get these cavities that are all black. The sapwoods, which are usually more flammable, like pine, spruce, fir, larch, Douglas fir, and natural firs, they usually burn on the outside, and when the sap ignites, they'll burn up, but not from the inside like these. It's opposite world. Whatever holds the most water burns before the sap. Just got back from a trip to Lone Pine. That's Mount Whitney off to the right. Highest peak in California and the lower 48 states. So here's down south. This is your Palisades fire. I might mix some of these up with the Eaton fire that's nearby. They're both pretty large, and I might have them a little bit mixed. I've tried to get the photos that have the most trees in them so you can understand what's going on. In 7 years, I've only found maybe 3 fire aftermaths that were natural, where the trees actually burned up. All the other 43 were unnatural, where the trees didn't burn up. This is the Palisades fire. I took some of these pictures for the aluminum melting out, the windows melting out. Those temperatures are easy to find on a computer. The aluminum rims will melt out or start melting at 1221 degrees, and the auto glass starts melting and misshaping at 2500 degrees. To actually flow out, it's probably going to be even above those temperatures. And many times when you see all this destruction and everything's burned up, and you would think horrific firestorms and incredible heat, well, why are there needles and leaves on all these trees?
And just to add into that, Robert, with your the fire temperatures, an outdoor fire burns at about 1100 degrees. So that is one of those very strange anomalies.
Yeah, right on the computer, it says tops out at 1427 temperature, unless you're adding accelerants of any kind. This house, or whatever it was, with 2 chimneys, everything's just gone, and here's your large oak trees that burnt a little bit, but they just didn't want to burn up. In the back is a row of eucalyptus. I'm noticing this a lot when I see the pictures on the internet, and there is quite a lot of them, where the houses and those flying embers seem to attack the roof first. They don't lap up against the side of the house and climb like fires do. So that's another anomaly in itself, where they're burning the roof first. This was some good photographs you may have seen. These pine trees are probably Torrey pines from the southern coast. They're native of Southern California, right on the coast. That's what they look like. The pines refuse to ignite. Meanwhile, these cars must have been very, very hot, but they don't recognize the organic materials. These flames are a different composition. That's an area I need to be educated myself in, but I don't believe they're even the normal flames that we know of. All these cars are just toasted, yet the pine trees right next to them refuse to burn.
What do you think of those cars that are all on? Did they just show up? Why is only one part burned?
I don't
That's so
understand.
strange.
And that side's got Canary Island pines. I have no idea why they're even parked there and they didn't continue.
Well,
Don't know.
they look like a lot of electric cars, so they may have run out of power.
Wow.
Those look like some Teslas.
Yeah, that first one at
And
least.
others. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's a strange photo in and of itself. I don't know if the people showed up later, but just to show that fire could burn that hot going down one swath of the road and not even singe the tires or even singe the trees. And you know, Robert, I do have one question, because people are asking, well, if leaves are green, they're not as combustible. And you know, yeah, what do you have to say about that?
They've never seen a forest fire.
Okay.
Yes, many of them hold a ton of water that are not flammable. You put them in a small campfire, which I've had for half a century. I don't care what the leaf is. It burns in less than a minute. I've experimented just because, especially with tan oak. It's a large oak in a different genus. It's very thick. Put it in a little campfire, in less than a minute, it's gone. Now that's just any old leaf. If you put one in with oils in it, like eucalyptus, instantly it starts burning. And California Bay, and many others. There's some acacias and greasewoods and Artemisia, the sagebrush. That a 8-foot Artemisia sagebrush will put a flame 40 feet in the air. I've seen it. But yeah, they say the leaves have water in it. See, I think they've forgotten the term forest fire.
Yep.
Any tree will burn up in minutes with giant flames everywhere.
Especially, yeah, this is crazy.
Amazing pictures. I think it's the same place actually. Yeah, the cars are over there. Yeah. And look at these Aleppo pines with cars right underneath of it. I really believe the flame is a different animal. It does not recognize the organics. It's working on the metals, the liquids, mostly waters, and I don't know what else. I'm sure you've seen this. There's photos everywhere. I just grabbed one. The plastic bins aren't melting anymore. I think they're gonna have to close the place off and take away all the plastic bins. We can't have evidence rolling around. Yeah, untouched.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? I have some overall shots like this, and I just see trees everywhere. And I've got a feeling that the ones that have burned the most are holding the most water instead of the eucalyptus or the conifers, pine, spruce, fir, and so forth. Look at the whole background, trees everywhere. It's a whole kind of new fire. And the streets are nice and clean too. A lot of people remark about that. Did the street sweepers come through?
That's crazy.
These too. Look at these streets. Many times you'll see one of these pictures on the internet, zoom in close, like paradise, and you'll see plastic bins were everywhere. Huh.
And remember, Robert, there were plastic kids' playhouses too.
Just like Lahaina and many pictures I've taken personally, plastic play structures everywhere and all different colors, not just blue, reds, orange, yellows, and so forth. Plastic swimming pools above ground, trampolines with no holes in them, yet the house is missing. I'm still trying to find those flying embers. They're
Yeah.
This one I think everybody's seen. It's horrific. Don't know the species because it's kind of a dark picture. There's at least a pine dead center. But wow, that kind of temperature, every home is gone, and I still see trees everywhere.
Yeah, the porcelain toilets are gone, and the red tiled roofs and the stucco has
Can't
been
have,
reduced
yeah,
to dust,
and
and the
no more,
trees are still standing.
no more granite. No, everything that should burn doesn't, and everything that should burn, did I say that right? Doesn't.
That's right. Everything that shouldn't burn does. Yeah.
Yeah. What the? Don't know which directions these are or anything. I'm just grabbing the clearest photos and letting the public see this. They talk about the palm trees. I've seen plenty of that. Many of these are date palms. That's our largest, fattest one with horrible spines on it. All the way up the sides of a date palm is old, dry, dead wood that would burn in natural fires if the fires lapped up against them. Yet they're igniting at the bottom of the head, up on top, where the thickest part of every leaf is. That's where the highest water holding amount would be, is the base of each leaf. And that's where they're igniting, where all the liquids are. I saw that in a second. It looks explosive up there. And I see what's on fire. The liquids again. And they're not covered by the thick woody bark, which should be a burn. Huh. Amazing. Now we might be over at the Eaton fire now. Somewhere in here it flips over to that area, which is exactly the same, no different. I see eucalyptus in the background and a queen palm, some other stuff. A forest fire that forgets to burn the forest. Yeah, many cars. We have lots of these. I had to delete them. I had so many. There's a date palm in the back on the left. And actually, here's some blackened timbers. I usually don't find that. Maybe the fire department got there early and put these out somehow. Amazing what's happened to these vehicles. The two fire captains I met 3-4 years ago that analyzed Paradise, in their 60 combined years, they said they'd never gone on a call to put a car fire out where the windows were melted or the alloy and aluminum rims were melted out. Never. And sometimes they were so busy, they'd get to one of these vehicles late in the day and the flames were actually almost out. Still, neither one was melted. And I've seen probably 800 vehicles now in 7 years, with no exception. Every window's gone and every aluminum or alloy rim is melted out. These trees, mostly I know, and this is Southern California, deodar cedar. tallest of the 4 cedars in the pine family, the big one in the dead center. These should have burned up just like a pine. It's just a different type of species. Didn't burn up, but look at that car. I don't even know what the models are. Now, this is a great one. I know I heard there's no water anywhere, reservoirs, fire hydrants. Why is the fire hydrant on fire? It's either water leaking out that's actually combusting with this technology, or the metal itself is on fire. It's one of the two. I believe that's a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that, and that was really an eye opener.
Yeah.
And there's a flame down below. It's burning the paint off of the fire hydrant also. And hardly any smoke when you see these flames. I'm noticing that too. The fires are hotter and there's hardly any smoke. This is something else. I think this is still Palisades. Yeah, it's by the beach. Yeah. Unbelievable amount of area that they've barbecued.
That's basically it.
Hardly any homes survive. And look hard, I still see clean streets. They must have been out cleaning real early in the morning. I guess we've seen this one. There's that same tree. Yeah, different angle. We don't even know what model these cars are. It's rare I ever find paint on any of the vehicles. Very rare. If there is paint, usually the fire department must have got there and somehow put it out. I don't know how much water it takes to put out these things. I've heard about Tesla cars where they're starting to just let them burn because they don't have enough water to douse them.
Well, they can't be doused because it's an electrical fire. Those batteries, the water is going to conduct the electricity, so they don't want to put water on it. And that, to me, is one of those telltale pieces of evidence. There was no water in Lahaina, no water in California. Now we're told that, and we were shown pictures that the reservoir was dry and there was nothing in the fire hydrants. But I'm so suspicious as to why that was, almost as if they had that planned in advance, because if they had water available, then there would not be an excuse that the fire would be so ferocious.
That's right. Kind of sounds like Lahaina. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big pine on the left is an Italian stone pine from Italy. They grow wider in width than in height and have monstrous branches. It tried to burn, but it just didn't want to. I think when you turn off the power to this weapon, the flames just go out. I don't think it lasts unless it's has this beam or whatever it is on it. Only trees I see in the conifers that are burning are these Italian cypress, the 6 in a row by the house. They have a ton of sap. You don't want to get cypress sap on your gloves. It's the stickiest mess you've ever seen. And I think that there's so much sap in those things, that's why they are burning. That's the only exception to the conifers that I can see. I've seen it in Santa Rosa and Paradise, a row of these things that actually tried to burn up. And also the Corral fire up by me, by Tracy, California. All the trees were a little bit singed, but there was a row of these that started igniting across the street, 100 feet away from the fire.
Wow.
And I have pictures of that, which that fire started at the Lawrence Livermore Nuclear Lab. And burned up one house. Anyway, we're seeing this a lot. Sometimes the buildings, sheds, houses are right in the middle of greenery that refuse to burn. And I know they're not all super wet trees like alders, birches, maples, etc.
Wow.
Yeah, I try to get the clearest pictures and add the trees to it. Just amazing. Many of these trees are a lighter shade of green. They're cooked to some degree internally, and they're losing their chlorophyll, if you will. The water's getting cooked out of them like in a microwave. It's an amazing thing. Anyway, that's about all I kept for Southern California. And I wanted to go over just a few little extras here before I move on. This is the way I find maybe 1 out of 200 tires that are out in fields. Sometimes you find hoarders, people that hoard tires and cars and parts, and you see piles of tires that are just missing. Then you see one of these, polyester cord. The rest of them look like this. No exceptions, one or the other. Steel belts come out like this. I never see a circle of black in the soil with no steel belts. It's one or the other. Shows me the metals inside were actually combusting and burning down to nothing. I don't find any partial tires ever.
Because the polyester is a type of plastic.
Yeah, and I
That's why
believe,
they're intact. Yeah.
yeah, and I believe there's one cord right on the edge, a bead, if you will, that holds the tire on, but it's not enough to combust. Same with barbed wire on these fences. Barbed wire doesn't usually ignite a fence unless it's wrapped 3 or 4 times. Then there'll be a horrific burn area where it's been strangulated by barbed wire. And enough of that one.
Yeah.
Up north, I want to talk about some of these poor individuals that are being framed as supposed arsonists. Many of them, at least 9 of them in California, and I don't believe any of them started these fires unless they're super scientists. This is up at Lake Mendocino on the Russian River system, a little town called Calpella. I found this parking block that's perhaps 30 feet long. The only place it burned was where the posts go in the ground and the bolts are connected. And there was 7 or 8 of these in a row. The only place it burned were the bolts. See, they're all different. I've got more, I just didn't include them. And they grabbed a poor person off the bridge that was just watching and put him in jail. He's gone through the courts with 12 jurors. They gave him 21 years in prison. He didn't do anything. Incidentally, across that bridge, the flames on your left, I was there when this was all put out. There was a mobile home that burned to the ground. All the trees happened to be California bay trees, the second most flammable genus or plant I know. I use those to start my campfires, even green leaves. They didn't combust. There was multiple anomalies in that entire fire footprint. And I was late. I couldn't get up there and do anything to save this poor guy. The trees didn't burn. 2-story house is just gone. And I met the gentleman and I didn't have the heart to tell him what really happened. Here you have a digger pine on the left, a coast redwood. Actually, that's a deodar cedar from the Himalaya. Ponderosa pines, black oaks, valley oaks, interior live oaks, canyon live oaks, and probably some blues. Those are the ones that actually burn. The oaks that don't burn, all the conifers didn't. They're brown, they're cooked, but they refuse to burn. And also, my most famous picture, this is going to be on the cover of my book. A whole fence line looked like this, or that picture. They're all the same. This fence only burned where the nails are and at the ground level again. And many times I speak about the ground itself is on fire. And that can be a multitude of different things. Either the sprays they spray with us, daily, the metals that are present in the parent soil, and then some of the liquid, the water in the soil. So it's probably a degree of all 3. And the ground's on fire. The grass only burns because of close proximity. It's not burning like a normal wood fire at all. At least that's my idea. Any thoughts on that?
Well, Robert, I think a lot of people wish this wasn't true because facing the reality of what we're seeing is very, very distressing and very troubling to consider that these are intentionally inflicted. And I think people watching this might be trying to figure out, well, maybe this is why, and maybe this is why. And I understand that because it is a very hard truth to face.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. It's hard for me some days.
Yeah.
I've lost all my friends. They all think I'm crazy. This is where I got my board. Do I have a picture of it? Well, I'm sorry, getting ahead of myself. The ponderosa pine here, incense cedar. That's the only true or false cedar we have in the Sierra Nevada. They're all black because the water or liquids just inside the bark. The needles won't burn. It's just the liquids. There's a Douglas fir over there by the chimney. And then there's oaks all over. And look at the vehicles. These have steel rims, which would start to melt around 4,000 degrees. I never see those melt. Perhaps it's the same truck. I don't know. Same foliage wherever you look. Yeah, there was evidence everywhere that was unnatural. Where all the burning is where the hardware is. This was a B&B, which I keep calling their number. They never answer. And then I went up again when I went to the court there. And somebody said, oh, it burned to the ground.
Oh.
And look at the bolt and the nail. And And then down below, the same thing. That's still there. This one I have in my possession. There was 8 or 9 nails, and they fell out when I was moving around. I think there's 3 left, but what kind of fire burns only at the nails? And I don't own a blowtorch, so people want to think I did that. I wouldn't even know how to light the thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, this was out in the street, and I thought, okay, that's public. I'm picking up litter. Yeah, most damning evidence I've ever had. The nails were on fire, and when it's turned off, it goes out. It doesn't even climb the wood. I can't tell people where this waterfall is, but enjoy it. It's a beautiful waterfall. Gigantic. It's really something. Some forest zone too. This was upper foothills to lower pine belt, and then into the coniferous forest a little bit. Look hard. All the needles are there. This Jeep. Wow. Wow. Same fire. There wasn't a whole lot of real clear pictures for this one, so I salvaged what I could. Tree on the left is a sycamore. We have one wild sycamore in California, although we import the London plane tree, which is the straighter one, and we plant them in cities. But that's our native. Likes a lot of water. I wish I was up there to analyze that. I'm gonna start carrying a chainsaw with me and cut some of these trees down when I get permission, because I want to see if they're hollow and burned.
Yeah.
I also was going to start carrying a large fish net for aquarium fish, because I'm finding the creeks are devoid of life. I can't find aquatic insects, frogs, turtles, newts, fish, nothing. Even when the creeks are 6 to 8 feet deep. It's beyond me. They've electrocuted the creeks. Yeah. So that was the park fire. I'm just focusing on California's last year's fires. This is Malibu. Is that what, back in July, or maybe it was October? Yeah, this is Malibu, and I never got to talk about that with anybody. There's your same scenario. Looks like a eucalyptus on the left back there, and one of the Washingtonian palm trees. But none of the green's been burned here. Wow. I hope some of the firemen and women are using some type of powders to put these fires out, if that works. I'm sure there's some powders that put out the flames. Same with on water. You have grease fires, and it's on water. You don't pour water on them to put them out. You have to cover them with some type of flame retardant powders, like the ones that come out of the planes, that red stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it perhaps robs the oxygen of the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. But these, I don't know, with these electrical type things. Here's a house burning from the roof down again, and I don't see the grass burning around the house. Where'd that fire come from?
Yes, fires generally burn from the ground up. So it would be something like a carpet, and then it would go up the wall, but we're not seeing the destruction from bottom to top.
Yeah, we just don't see that, huh? More the same, the Malibu mountain fire, they called it. And I did look at photos of the bridge fire, the line fire, the airport fire. Couldn't find anything great, but it's the same thing. Yeah, here's big oaks over here. All kinds. Oh, I think that's a smart car. I really don't like the word smart. Not that I wanted this car to burn up, but if it ever says smart, don't buy it. Even the water. I don't trust the water either.
Right.
Sorry about that.
Smart is stupid in my book.
A stupid car, yeah. Wow. Yeah. And the house over there, oh, anyway. Trees, trees, trees. That's all I can say. And I've backpacked the whole Sierra, of just everywhere. And when I see a forest fire up there a year or two after the fact, the trees are just blackened poles. There's no bushes. There's no limbs. Sometimes there's just a black pole or a low stump or even a hole in the ground because of the sap. The sap doesn't take too much to heat up and burn up. I can't remember what the temperature was. I just read it the other day. I think it's just over 300 degrees. The sap's on fire. Well, we're not seeing that happen. Oh, another break. So this goes. 2 weeks ago, I did a trip out to the deserts around the Sierra through Bakersfield, and I knew there were some fires. You go through the large canyon, the Kern River system, just east of Bakersfield, and there was a big fire called the Borell fire I wasn't aware of. Burned in July, I believe. 223 homes eliminated. So on our way back on the trip, I thought, all right, I'll take the back road and assess this. First thing I see is a gray pine again, needles on the ground turning black, but refused to burn. Found the cars. There's plenty of evidence there, and there was a big yard dedicated for clearing equipment and brand new dump trucks. I don't know what the company was. Brand new dump trucks. I don't know who had that capital to buy all these trucks, but they were clearing up all the evidence at all these homes. And I took a lot of pictures, and I just put the best few on here. Same thing. It's not hard to figure out. Yeah, the fences were everywhere like this. Yeah, and these cables, I don't even know if they did this to this trunk. That's a Fremont cottonwood. I can tell by the bark. The whole inside burned out like it was 90% heartwood. The beginning of my slides here, I showed you the heartwood. That's the combustible part. Huh. Yeah. Okay, we're not going to have that. Hope that works. Oh, man. Okay, that's better. Anyway, another hidden place I'll never tell.
Beautiful.
Place. It's in the Big Sur backcountry. Okay, in Lone Pine, California, where Mount Whitney's right above it, the highest peak in the 48 states, there was a fire right here on the highway, 395, the freeway that goes from the LA area all the way up to Reno and farther. Thought, well, I'll get out and analyze it. These were willows, the ones that hold the most water, in the willow and cottonwood family. They were all hollow. All the wood I saw cut up was hollow. The bark's off. A normal wood combustion fire would never do anything to these willows. It'd lap up against the bottom and get a little black bark, and the fire would pass by it. There's only grass around here. And it was probably all shade underneath these things with no grass. But yet there they are, burned up, hollowed out. No homes burned here, luckily, and it was only 55 acres, I think. But the fence post along the highway burned 3 feet up in the air, all the way across. Every post burned at 3 feet high. Mostly that's where these U-shaped nails were. I haven't seen this one before. Even here, it burned where the attachment points were on these posts. That was another odd one I couldn't explain, except I knew there were some nails in there. There's Mount Whitney, dead center. The little one, right there. Anyway, but another irregular fire. Not normal at all. Every post 3 feet up. It was very odd. There's the nails. Found those in a few. And then I've got another one. I guess I've got one more maybe. There's a lady that owns a ranch just south of Lone Pine on the back road that goes up high in the Sierra to Kennedy Meadows. And I heard there was a fire there and burned a few little buildings. She owns a lavender farm, sells lavender. Wonderful lady, I met her. Tufts of lavenders everywhere, and she sells them. And it burned up, I don't know how many little cottages she had. She didn't want me to go on her property. She was afraid I don't know. She was just kind of afraid to let me on her property. So I stayed on the road and I took pictures. I found the anomalies again, the bolts like this, the guardrails burning where the bolts are, and trees burning from the inside out. And I just took a few pictures, and I told her I was going to try to help her rebuild her ranch. And so I put this on here. I don't know if it's okay. This is her sign she put up, or whatever you call it. Not a GoFundMe, but help contact her if anybody wants to send some donations to this lady. I thought I'd put it up there. Just devastating. She's heartbroken. She had a beautiful place here with granite soils and all these patches of lavenders. It was really a nice little place she had. I felt real bad for her, but I thought I'd leave that up here for a second. I've not done this before, but
well, thank you, Robert. This is a reminder that the devastation just has so many layers. Yes, you've got the land, but this is a business, and so many people don't bounce back for this. What do? How, even if they had insurance, that doesn't cover the future business opportunities that she could have and the products that she could make or sell. So it's very, very devastating.
And the Lone Pine is a smaller community. It's a one-horse town. And just the good people are coming out there. There was a lot of people just helping out. I know they weren't all getting paid. Just the goodness of their heart, they're coming out and helping her to the best they could, cleaning up everything. And it's like it was a nice community. I really felt bad for her. So I thought I'd share that anyway.
Thank you.
And I think that's it. That's an osprey.
Oh, beautiful.
I think that's all I've got.
Okay, well, you can come off the screen share and wow, Robert, you've done so much analysis and research and eyewitness investigation. Many of these photos are yours. You've gone to these places over time. You've collected what's called evidence, and evidence is what is analyzed in order to draw conclusions. And this is what people like you and me and others that want answers are doing. We're trying to put the pieces together to get the clues, to look at things that don't add up. And it's difficult when we are just lambasted with these narratives of, fear and the images, which, are legitimate, and it's legitimately, emotionally devastating. It's hard for people to actually see the facts and see the reality when they are in a state of panic, anxiety, PTSD. So it is understandable. I have a great deal of compassion, not only for those that have lost everything, but for those who are still lost and are unable to see what you and I see in terms of intentional devastation.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking. And every time I get to a fire aftermath, and sometimes I don't even know they're there. I'm just driving on a mountain road and like, oh, there's been a fire. And part of me hopes that it's just a natural fire.
Yes.
But it's not. Every one almost. It's 46 aftermaths now, and 126 trips to a mall. I've really done a lot of footwork. And I've seen 3 natural fires. 2 were just cars that caught on fire and burned up a grassy hill, and 1 was a natural forest fire way up by Weed, California, north of it, where the forest was burned. Other than that, when they say fire is a normal part of the environment, no, it's not.
Yeah, not like what we're seeing. Yeah.
A little here, a little there, yes, but nothing like this in the last 7 to 10 years or even more. It's real sad what we're going through, and my heart breaks for all these people.
Yeah, and we've talked about it before that there will be blame will be put on global warming, and that will be a convenient excuse to push forward these agendas and narratives and restrictions and policies that we the people don't want, that actually are harmful to we the people. There will be other types of surveillance, probably. There will be people that are not allowed to go back to their homes. They won't be able to rebuild because of the toxic soil and the toxic air. Like in Paradise, they really did not allow a lot of rebuilding there. And homes that were still standing had to have very expensive, water filtration and all kinds of stuff. That's so right. We're seeing so many levels of this, but I'm like you, like I look at this and I'm hoping that, like, I'm looking for clues that it is natural. So people that say, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist, I would love to conclude that this is natural. That actually would be fantastic. But as you say, you've seen what is natural. And, coming up in a video, I'm going to air some very hard to find footage. Maybe you can look for some too. There was a fire in Bel Air, which is not far from where the fires are burning now. And that is like off the Sepulveda Pass, all of that which is Los Angeles for people who know. And back in 1961, there was the Bel Air fire, and it curiously burned the exact area where they needed to put in a part of the 405, which is the main freeway that goes in Southern California. That is kind of an east-west freeway that everybody drives, and you can drive it from Orange County, to Los Angeles. And isn't it interesting that 60 plus years ago, that fire cleared the way for the 405 freeway. And now we're seeing these fires clear the way for the smart cities and the transportation corridors and the rabbit hutches, as we call them. But what I was going to say interestingly, I don't know what kind of technology they had in 1961, but I'm analyzing some of the footage, which is very hard to
It
find.
is.
And even they did have some burned vehicles and things, but you still saw some structures standing. They were not reduced to this white dust like we're seeing. So I want to do some more investigation on that as well. We're going to wrap up here, Robert, and uh, I'm so grateful for you to come on the show.
I'm trying to do what I can, and I only had one last comment. I'll make it quick.
Yeah, of course.
They are getting us out of the country and wilderness areas. Just what I've seen throughout the Sierra, they're closing areas everywhere, putting boulders in the way, new signs, shrinking roads. In Yosemite Valley, they put fences around the meadows now. You can't walk out in the meadows. They're not sustainable. Tuolumne Meadows, 9,000 feet up. They fenced it off, and you can walk around next to the road and look out there, but you can't walk out in the meadow anymore.
I'm shocked. I shouldn't be shocked.
In Yosemite Valley, they put curbs in where you used to see the cliffs, and you'd pull over to the side of the road and get out and look. They put curbs everywhere. Now you have to get to a parking lot. And even on a Wednesday when I got there, the parking was full. They don't want you to stop. That's why in the city there's red zones and bubble outs and shrinking, taking lanes away. They got to keep driving.
That's right.
But I'm seeing this in parks everywhere.
Yeah. That is another one of the clues that they are changing literally the face of our landscape, of our homes, of our communities. And the way that we fight back is doing exactly what we're doing. We're connected here. We're educating people, and actions that we can take, Robert. We talked about that in a previous show, like doing presentations, or what are some of the things people can do?
Yeah, the best I think is just talk to everybody. One-on-one, small groups. I do a lot of small groups. I just did one Saturday. Educate everybody that'll listen, and hopefully it'll dovetail out and they'll tell people, because we got to find out who's building the parts, the operators.
Yeah.
We have to do what we can at our level, and we don't have all the power that they have. So we have to get the word out just to everybody. Don't stop talking. I don't.
Yeah, same here. And you're right. They do have the power. They have the weapons. And one of the best things we can do is stay connected and, live each day. You've got the beautiful image there behind you. You're still out doing your camping and your hiking. And you even gave us little breaks for our eyes to look at these beautiful images. And that's what you need to do, right? You need to live each day and feel appreciation and gratitude, because none of us know when the next disaster is going to strike. I don't want anyone to live in fear. You can see that Robert is very calm and mild-mannered, and I love that about you, Robert.
I'm basically
give this information.
I don't know. I'm just basically a naturalist that focused on the plant lives. But
I love it.
There's a lot more to me than just plants. I really could be outside in the middle of nowhere. I really do.
Well, we're going to make sure they don't take that away from us. And the more we can get this information out. So friends, share this video. Robert's been on my show before. And you know what, Robert, I want you to come back and do a private webinar with my supporters that we do. In fact, I think we should do one coming up soon. And this will be not on YouTube, and people can email and ask you, well, not email, but in the live chat, you can answer questions live. We can have an interactive get together. So I'll arrange that with you for a time. Friends that have supported me financially, I can't do this work without your help, and I want to thank you by supporting you with these private live webinars. And so I normally do them every month, but this month I want to do a bonus one with you as the guest, Robert, so people can just type their questions. We can have a nice chat in real time and dive into some of these things that we have to dance around on this channel. So I'm about to hop on my next video. Thank you so much for your time, your expertise, your calm demeanor, because this is a great video that people can send to others, even though your friends think you're crazy, and mine do as well.
I don't have any friends.
Well, you have the Healthy American community, and they're supporting you, and we need to continue to get this information out. So thank you again, Robert. We'll be in touch, and we'll have you back on for the private group. And everybody, you know where to find me. It is at my Substack, which is peggyhall.substack.com. I'm going to share some of these images that Robert put together for us from the slideshow with some of his comments, just a very short summary of what we talked about here. Please share the video in Substack with others so that we can educate and encourage and empower people to know that they're not going crazy with what they see. We see it too. All right. Thank you, Robert. Signing off, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.